We have my mother, Chris McDonald.
Hey, everybody.
It's very clear we're related. Music was such a big part of like our lives growing up. Obviously, you are a bad drummer. If she can do it, I can do it. Even you being adopted is something I've always wanted to talk about more. And
although mine wasn't through an agency, it was kind of like an under-the-table adoption back then. My dad always had been an alcoholic. Sometimes they throw things.
There will be a 3-part series eventually.
The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Pretty basic. As excited as I am for this episode, I do want to give a very strong trigger warning because there are a lot of different sensitive subjects we're going to be talking about, like anxiety, depression, suicide, addiction, abuse, and all of the things. Hey guys, welcome back to Pretty Basic. I am your co-host, Alisha Marie, and we have I don't even know how to start your title. The original Mother Marie mom. We have my mother, Miss Chris McDonald.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, this is your first time on the podcast.
It is my first time.
Are you nervous?
So excited. A little bit, mostly excited, but a little nervous because I have been known to ramble and get off track. Well, I'm going to need your help.
I'm the worst person to help you. It's like the blind leading the blind because I'm the one who also I'm
What are we going to do?
Well, luckily we have an editor who can.
Thank God.
I know. I'm so excited that you're on here today. And you look beautiful.
Thank you.
She got the full Alisha Marie morning glam treatment for our pod day.
Yeah, Alicia, you spoiled me.
No, you look so good.
Eros and Amanda are amazing.
I know. They're so talented.
Thank you. I looked in the mirror. I was like, wow, I actually look younger.
And we look like sisters. Suck
I
it,
love
Ash.
I love that. Yeah. So I decided that I need to adopt them, Eros and Amanda.
I know. You tried to
be at my house.
You tried to get them to move. And then I was like, no, you can't do that to me because I need them.
True. I thought it couldn't hurt to ask though, because then maybe you and Ashley and Lex, everybody will just move down to Riverside.
I know that's your plan. Which, speaking of, shout out to our IE baddies. Okay, if you are in the Inland Empire, what's up?
I'm still there.
Obviously, you're famous in my vlogs. You're famous in my life. You birthed me.
I did that.
Yeah, you did do that. Also, I've told so many, I've definitely told this on this podcast before, but you definitely drove yourself to the hospital with me.
I did.
And how dilated were you?
I was at 10.
Literally, like, what?
Yeah, I did. The doctors and nurses were freaked out, and they wanted to call an ambulance right away to get me to the.
Because I'm not paying $2,000.
Yeah, exactly. But you just kind of know, and I just kind of knew, like, I have a little bit of time. I thought I had a little bit of time. And then Dad got there just in time. Obviously, we got to the hospital just in time.
Was that early?
No, as far as I remember, you're really close to the due date. But they didn't think we'd make it. But then right at the last second, you and Ashley both were what they call sunny side up. So that's why you didn't come out probably in the car.
Oh my, well, thank God.
I know, right? I know.
That's crazy.
So a few really tough pushes, and there you were. It was so exciting.
I know we're not supposed to compare like how people give birth or all of our journeys and experiences. And I know that in my core, but because you didn't have an epidural, everything in me is like, if she can do it, I can do it, which I know is so wrong to think because everyone's so crazy. And I guarantee 7 minutes in, I'm going to be like, give me the epidural, give me the damn epidural. But yeah, I'm like, if you can do it, I can do it.
That's funny.
But
That's funny.
It's fine. Regardless, obviously you're big in my vlogs. You're big in Ashley's vlogs. You've never been on a podcast. So everyone comment. We love you, Momma Marie. But I would love to get into, like, I've wanted you to come on here for so long because your whole story is so amazing. I feel like I've said it so many times. I need Mom to come on here. Like, we want to have a mom's one where Suze and you come on. But I do think it's good. Like, everyone can kind of get to know you more this way first, and maybe Suze can come on separate. Shout out, Suze. We love you.
Hey, Suze.
And then we can do one, all 4 of us.
Yeah,
and then we can
that would
talk
be
about
fun.
like mom-daughter stuff and like other things. But I would love to.
We did a little of that on our Asia trip.
Yes.
That was really
like
cool.
We can talk about the trip in more details and stuff. I feel like there's just so much to you that growing up, I just thought was like normal for your parents to do, like go through things or do things, or even you being adopted is something I've always wanted to talk about more and like hear your experience with that. And then growing up, I know it was like hard with your parents and like just like some of their troubles that they had, and diving into all of that too. Like I grew up thinking every parent played a musical instrument. I was like, your mom doesn't play drums? Like, oh, my mom plays drums. Like I remember being so shocked when I would like meet other kids.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd be like, oh yeah, like my mom plays drums. What does yours play? Like very, very like, oh, like it's a fact, you know? And then obviously from a young age, like growing up with you doing gigs and drumming, and like music was such a big part of like our lives growing up.
You guys came on all the gigs.
Yeah.
And when you were like 2 or 3, you carried the little tom-tom.
Oh, that was my
just
drum.
your size.
I was like, this one's mine. I'm going to help and I'm going to bring this. So I've like obviously talked about my musical background a little bit, but I feel like still that was one of the things, like when I first started social media, everyone was like, oh my God, wait, what is this? And I'm like, it's so funny because that's a whole separate like part of my life. I felt like no one really understood. But obviously you are a badass drummer.
Thanks.
You have a music lesson after this.
I do.
Booked and busy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. It's sure been a fun journey, especially because way in the beginning, my junior high teacher said girls can't play drums. And so that made me kind of like really sad. But then, I don't know, I didn't even think, I just thought I still am going to do this, you know, and did it anyway.
And that's why she's Mother Marie.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start just from the very beginning.
Okay.
Like your birth and all of that stuff. Because
Okay.
I find it so interesting. And then I want to hear about how like music and drums helped like shape you in your life. Because I feel like that's also like that comes in later too. But
Okay.
where were you born?
I was born
What's your sign?
San Bernardino, 1961.
I.e.
I had the unique and neat experience, like so many people, of being adopted. Although mine wasn't through an agency, it was kind of like an under-the-table private. They call it private adoption back then, and it was kind of a cool story.
Is that even legal now though?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm just glad it worked for me.
You're like, well, I don't know. I couldn't remember.
They said I cost $300, so that was like pretty,
You're
you know.
priceless though.
I know. Honestly, I think that was just the fees to pay, you know, the courts when they get the final
Yeah.
paperwork done and my name on the birth certificate and all that kind of thing.
Because
But
normally if you wanted to adopt, you'd go to an agency and then they would help pair you with someone.
yeah, it's
So
can
then-
be quite a lengthy experience for a
Yeah,
lot of people.
I know it's hard for a lot of people too. A
lot of people.
Rightfully so in the sense that we shouldn't just be giving children to anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it can be a very hard, painful process.
Yeah, and then a lot of times, of course, there's no guarantee, and there's the trial period where the birth mom can change her mind,
Yeah.
or the adoptive parents can change their mind. And in my case, the story mom and dad always told me was that's when they grew the most gray hairs, because there was
I
a
bet.
6-month period where my birth mom could have changed her mind,
Oof.
and she didn't. So that's
can't
good.
even imagine.
Even though it was a closed adoption like that in private, she still had that right, apparently.
Really? I wonder
Yeah.
if it's changed, or like maybe there's just so much rule. I don't know.
The way that it was handed down to me over all the years was my adoptive parents, John and Marie, they couldn't have
Marie.
I
know,
know, Marie. And they couldn't have children. And my dad's sister, Mary Ann, your Aunt Mary Ann, she worked at a hospital. And Aunt Mary Ann's the kind of personality, huh? Like she gets stuff done,
Yeah.
huh? And everything. Well, there was a doctor who approached her like earlier, and there were 2 other babies that were going to be given up for adoption kind of at the last minute. A lot of times the poor mamas, like they didn't know what they were going to do. Like in my birth mom's case, she was kicked out of her home, said she disgraced the family and that whole thing, you know.
How old was
so
she too?
wasn't 18
Yeah.
when she had me. So she wasn't sure what she was going to do. Actually had a lot of different options according to her. And so she, in 7th month, finally said, I'm going to give this baby for adoption. The doctor went to my Aunt Mary Ann, your Aunt Mary Ann, and said, hey, I have another baby, a 3rd one. Would you like to adopt this one? She said, yes. However, wait, let me ask my brother, because they can't have children either. So she asked my dad, and mom and dad said, yes, we would love to adopt this baby. Still didn't know, of course, back then, we didn't have ultrasounds or anything. It's like, boy or girl, they didn't care. You know, they're like, I know, isn't that crazy thought? You
Yeah.
know? So like, yeah, let's do it. So they kind of got everything arranged. And then I just believe my my adoptive parents, you know, it's so meant to be. And you can see little things looking back, because I'm 64 and a half, Lou, almost.
Yeah, and you
like,
look not a day over 32.
Because of Eros and Amanda.
No.
Thanks.
Good.
No, thank you. So yeah, mom and dad's were like, yep, we're all in, count us in. And then it was one of the reasons that's kind of neat to look back and go, wow, how neat, and how it was meant to be that they were my parents, or how connected. I think that so often adoptees and their adoptive parents are really connected in heart and in spirit, I think. Was my mom, remember?
You have so many things like this in your life that it's just like you can't explain.
I know. It's like meant to be.
No,
you know?
like,
meant to be.
yeah.
Oh, I did my reflex.
No, I do that all the time.
I'm like, wow.
We were on stage for the Simply Pop
do
tour,
that
and I
too?
literally was like, oh shit.
You would think we're
like, oh my God.
You would think we're related or something.
I know, it's crazy.
So they said, yeah, at 11 p.m., my adoptive parents are deep asleep. Mom wakes up. John, wake up. He goes, what? She goes, our baby's being born. He's like, what? She goes, yeah, like right now, I just feel it. He's like, go back to sleep, Marie. Like, what are you talking about? And she was right. The phone rang a little later, and that's right when I was born.
Do you have the minute that you were like
on the birth certificate?
Was it like,
of course I forget,
the same like hour or something?
They say it was to the minute. That was the story I was told.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, can't fact check it now.
Yeah. I mean,
they passed away in 1990, but even then our memories get, you know.
Yeah.
So good thing we're doing this now.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking, because I am 64.
I know.
And you never know.
I know.
So anyway, they go to the hospital. You would think, yay, you know, take me home that day. But I had some type of liver disorder that was pretty severe. And they said that I couldn't go home. In fact, the doctor called them in his office, and he said, hey, he goes, I really advise against adopting this baby, John and Marie, because she will not live probably 6 months, much, you know, and for sure not a year, because her liver is really bad. Like, babies have jaundice back then, but I guess mine was full blown or something. So they put me right into the whatever baby unit for a couple weeks. And but mom and dad, the story goes that the doctor gave him this news, said, I highly encourage you to just adopt another baby. And they said, well, give us a minute. He left the room. She said they walked over to a window, and they just had a knowing. Like, they didn't even talk about it. They're like, no, we are supposed to adopt this baby.
Wow.
Even if we only get her for a year. Oh. It's okay. And that's what they did.
I will cry in this episode.
I'm so grateful. So they did. Yeah, I stayed in the hospital, but obviously I was fine. There were no liver problems or anything. Although later in college, you know, when I drank a little bit, I
bet you went crazy.
liver. I'd seen a lot of people die of cirrhosis by now.
Yeah.
I thought, I just took a couple social sips, and I would look for a plant, like a plant, and I go,
hey, I've done that too.
I threw it out.
I'm like, yes.
Got to protect the liver, right?
Yeah, you know
That's what
your
we got to do. Our liver's our liver, only one we got.
I know. I know.
Anyway, so they adopted me, and they said I was the best thing that ever happened to them.
Oh.
And in the years that followed, I know, like, and I'll talk about a little bit of mom and dad's struggles in life and pain they've been through. But through it all, somehow they managed to communicate that they loved me so much.
That's
even
something,
through it all.
Yeah, I feel like, obviously, I don't know, but I know a lot of people who are adopted can feel a disconnect.
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure you did in some ways, but there was a phrase they always would tell you, right?
Yes. As soon as I could talk, actually, they said I'd toddle around, and they taught me the phrase. One of the first things I ever learned was, I was selected, not expected.
I love that. So it's like not putting any shame around the fact that you were adopted.
Exactly. I grew up with a very positive view of it. It's like, wow, I must be pretty darn special, you know, if they would pick me.
You're like, I was chosen.
Like, someone picked me.
So my second question, like, when I was little, I would be like, oh yeah, your parents don't play drums. Anytime I'd be like, oh yeah, my mom was adopted. Like, I'd say it like such a fact because like it wasn't anything weird to you.
Yeah.
Like you said it, like it was just a fact in our household. And there was nothing negative. And I remember I quickly learned growing up, a lot of people would be so shocked, and I didn't understand why. They're like, oh my God, really? And I'd be like, yeah. Huh. And not in a bad way, but it was just something that, like, I think I realized I was like, oh, like this must not be like as normal. You know what I mean? When I was little. And Yeah, I always thought that was so interesting. Like people would always be so shocked about it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So you guys know I just got back from my honeymoon. I wore so many cute outfits that I've been planning for months, but one thing that made it feel extra special was having the perfect accessories. I love a good handbag moment, and this time, instead of buying new pieces, I started borrowing them through Vivrel, and it completely changed how I pack and how I shop. I've seen all my other favorite influencers talk about Vivrel, and I've been dying to try, so I'm so excited. If you guys haven't heard of it yet, Vivrel is a members-only club that gives you access to borrow designer handbags, jewelry, watches, and even diamonds. It's literally like having a designer closet at your fingertips. You can swap items once per month or keep them as long as you want because there are no return dates. And if you fall in love with something, you can even buy it for less than anywhere else. What I love about Vivrel is that it lets you experience those high-end luxury pieces without feeling the pressure to constantly buy new things. The most popular tier is called Classique, and it's $139 a month. Honestly, for what you get, it's such a good deal. The closet is fully stocked with brands like Prada, Fendi, Saint Laurent, Dior, and more. Every time I scroll through their site, I find something new that I want to try, and they're constantly adding millions of dollars worth of new inventory every week, so the pieces are always fresh. And the best part is that Vivrel just gave me the highest code they offer. You can now join using our referral code PRETTYBASIC to get your first month of membership completely free. It's also going to let you skip the wait list, which is amazing because spots fill up really fast, especially during the holidays. So if you've got holiday parties coming up or you just want to elevate your looks without overbuying, now is the perfect time to join. Go to Vivrel.com and apply for a membership using the code PRETTYBASIC for your first month free. Again, that's Vivrel.com, code PRETTYBASIC, and you'll get to skip the waitlist too. This time of year is make or break season for so many creators and business owners. I've been seeing so many people launch such cool things lately, and it's honestly so inspiring. The holidays really show how creative people can get. Shopify has been top of mind for me lately. They just make everything easier. If you're thinking about launching your own store, this is the perfect time to do it. Shopify gives you all the tools you need to sell wherever your audience spends their time. You can reach people on Instagram, TikTok, or through your own site, all from one simple platform. You don't need to be a tech genius. You don't need to hire a full team. You don't even need a fancy office. Shopify basically becomes your behind-the-scenes bestie, handling all the complicated parts while you focus on what you actually love doing. Sometimes I think about what I'd want to launch in the future, and I already know I'd use Shopify when that time comes. I mean, when I've done merch drops in the past, I always use Shopify. It seriously just makes everything so much easier. Everything from tracking orders to updating product photos can be done right from your phone. And let's talk about how good the site design looks. Shopify has thousands of templates, and they're all customizable. So even if you're just starting out, your website will look super professional and totally on brand. Plus, they have this incredible AI assistant called Shopify Sidekick that helps with everything from generating reports to giving content ideas. I've seen firsthand how important it is to have your systems in one place. Between posting content, managing emails, and staying on top of projects, it's easy to lose track of logins and updates. Shopify solves that by keeping everything in one dashboard. You can check sales, inventory, customer messages, and analytics all from one login. Shopify takes the guesswork out of starting a business. Go to shopify.com/basic to get started. You bring the ideas, they bring the tools, and together you can turn those ideas into reality. Start now at shopify.com/basic and get ready to make this holiday season your best one yet.
So yeah, credit to my parents. Like I always saw it
I know.
in a really positive light like that.
Yeah.
To be chosen and picked. And later on, even like in the spiritual aspect, it was like, wow, we're chosen. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
How was it growing up? Because only child also.
Right.
Yeah.
Only child. Well, the first, I think I was like a lot of a new beginning, a breath of fresh air for my parents, because I found out much later that during this time, my dad always had been an alcoholic. It really, like, that addiction just took a hold of him at a young age, but he was a very functioning alcoholic. So he could hold down a job, usually like truck driver or bus driver type job, which is, you know, public, you're drunk. Yeah. But he would drink later. But he could still hold down the job and function, everything like that. I mean, I don't know if the level was ever, I'm sure they tested them from time to time.
Yeah.
But that made it hard for my mom. And then mom quickly went back to work. So one thing that was kind of a, you know, there's always, I think at my age, I look back over my life and I was thinking, like, on the way here too, so often there's hardship or something really tough, but somehow something good also comes out of it. And sometimes you don't see that till way later.
When in life do you feel like you saw that?
Probably that started in maybe my mid to late 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, I would just kind of,
that.
Yeah, before that, I would think, oh, yeah, growing up really sucked and my parents really kind of messed up. And I'm just going to distance myself from them, going to distance myself from my childhood, not even think about it very much.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of your childhood you don't remember, correct?
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Greer was on and she said the same thing.
There are chunks that I don't remember. So Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mom went right back to work. My mom, quick side note, a little background on Grandma Marie.
Grandma Marie, the original.
Who I say to this day, I have so much respect for and was such a strong, strong woman. But she sadly was abused. She had a very abusive father, 8 kids, grew up out in the desert in Southern California. He was like the town drunk, and he would bring drunk friends home, and the kids would, for their safety, they would flee in the middle of the night, have to hide out in the cold. And he did beat, apparently, my grandmother regularly. And my mom grew up just, traumatized by all that, but also got to the point where she didn't care about her own life. And there was one really kind of intense story. I don't know if we want to go
let's get into it.
Well, my mom, the one thing she wanted was to be educated and to learn and to actually maybe have a job someday.
And this is, so 50s?
She was born in 26.
26. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was born in
Messed that up.
26. Isn't that crazy?
Wait, mess that up.
Yeah. And she was only in her early teens. So the father didn't like them going to school at all. And remember, he was usually drunk and very abusive. One particular day, I think it all came to a head. She said she came home from school, walked in the door, didn't know he was behind the door with her books from school. She closed the door, and there he was with a hatchet.
Oh my God.
And he was ready to kill her. He was that out of control. But she had become so desensitized and depressed by that point. She just looked at him and said, "Go ahead, just kill me right now." And that took him off guard. This is the way she relayed the story. And he looked at her and she said, "Go ahead, because then they'll lock you up for good and you'll never hit my mama again." And so the tears come. She was rescuing her mama and wanting to protect her mama and took responsibility for her mama. And then I know. I know. And so she was 14, already smoking 2.5 packs a day, because that's what you did back then.
Yeah, cigarettes.
But that was one coping mechanism. And at 16, she met a much older man who wanted to marry her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm out of here, man." Yeah, he ended up being abusive, as the pattern often goes. They, our friend Jenna, with her psychology degrees, and her mom used to say, sometimes for people it's that familiarity, even though it's so unhealthy.
Yeah.
Her mom used to say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So she jumped in from the pan into the fire. That didn't work out clearly. Then she remarried again. This was another father figure who was, I think he was not home very often. He was mean to her. I think he was still to a degree abusive, but not nearly as bad. That went terrible. He was a photographer. I remember that. But then she had to just flee. She's like, I have to start again. She, all by herself, saved up somehow, got a bus ticket to San Bernardino, had saved enough money to start a little Skadron Business College, it was called. So she thought, maybe I can get a little education, because remember, she wanted to learn. She
also,
found a little
apartment.
Oh yeah, women did. Yeah, little
yeah.
apartment in San Bernardino. Scared, so alone. And she said she was just crying herself to sleep one night, just gripped with fear. And she decided to just pray. This first story she ever told me about that. I heard all these stories, by the way, later in life, because I would stay up with her while she would drink.
You're like, wait, what happened?
We were either having straight vodka or brandy, like she did. I didn't. And I'm like, "Mom, come to bed." And I would put her to bed every night. But I would hear the stories over. So I know all these. That's how I know all this.
Again, in hindsight, I almost also feel like you were meant to have liver problems as a baby.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you had such a easy reason to not even go there.
I believe that.
Because I feel like that would have been very easy in that environment to also just drink.
Absolutely.
In
fact, to this day, if I've ever feel real stressed, because I watched that be mom and dad's coping mechanism growing up, because addictions are just a coping mechanism that we fall into that gives us our dopamine.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure out how you cope and regulate
Especially
our emotions.
Yeah.
She said she felt a hand and comfort on her shoulder. She assumed.
How old is she around this time?
Good question.
20s?
Good question. Had to be early 20s. Yeah. And she just felt a comfort and a peace. And the next day, a pastor from, I think it was a Baptist church down the road, knocked on her door. "You want to come to church?" She's like, "Yes." So she did.
I'm like, "Give me a sign."
Yeah. So she did, and she loved it. Got through school. One day, had to get some dental work done. All numbed up, Novocaine, gets on the bus to leave the dentist office, and the door opened. The bus driver and her locked eyes. It was my dad.
So cute.
They both say it was love at first sight in the middle of a rough area of San Bernardino on a public bus, you know?
Yeah.
And so she said this guy was like, swept her off her feet, so good looking, thought she'd give him the sexiest smile she could muster. And she did. And then she felt the drool falling down her face.
From the dentist? That's a literal movie scene.
Yeah. Anyway, somehow he asked her out and, the rest of the story. So that's how they met.
Yeah.
But that was my mom's background. Dad, and then so they get married. And soon after, Dad did become an alcoholic. And she told me years later, she resented that very much because it did affect their relationship to a point. So anyway, I'm born. She goes back to work because remember, work was her everything. Maybe like make a mental note of that.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like but that was her identity.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that made her feel okay about herself. Like I'm okay because I got a job.
Her work, that makes sense.
And it does total sense. And by this time she became like the administrative assistant at a mortgage and loan company, like the executive assistant. So he's kind of like running the place, And so that was a big, big ego boost by now.
Yeah.
So she went back to work. The bummer is that put me with 5 different caregivers from the time I was born to maybe 5 years old or maybe 6. So I bounced around from aunts, babysitters, this and that, which the cool thing is I had some pretty neat aunts and cousins, and a few of us are close to this day, although I really got to get better at keeping in touch. I'm bad. But Barbie, Paula, Rose, and so many others, like we really bonded because we just were always babysat, back and forth like that. But I do think it made like later in life, I realized attachment problems because there was never one adult
steady.
There was nobody steady. So I learned to like just kind of like float around but that deep attachment, I think it made it tough. So I learned that later in therapy.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, but grateful for the cousins. And one aunt in particular, I found out like 20 years later, she's like, she passed now from Parkinson's too. But she was like, honey, whenever we would babysit you, your Uncle John and I, we would just pray for you when you were little.
Cute.
And I'm like, really? And so to think I had all these little extra supportive aunts and extra moms.
And you guys didn't grow up with much at all, right?
Spiritually, religion and...
No, I meant like financially.
Oh, no, we were super poor.
Yeah.
Dad, I think he made all of $17,000 a year was his highest. And Mom, well, she quit working soon after. So that was those years. Bounced around. Everything was pretty normal. There were a couple times Aunt Marion said I nearly drowned in her pool and her son had to rescue me. So that was scary. And then Dad said once in the...
What?
Yeah. Tommy said, Mom, Chrissy's like going to the bottom. And like he got me. Like I remember the pool.
Wait, put a pin in that because I know.
I know. Me and the swim lessons, right?
No, that makes sense. But yeah, off camera, I want to ask you about that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then Dad said once in the Colorado River, they went there. I don't remember this, but they put me in a inner tube.
Oh, God.
And somehow, I don't know, it flipped upside down, they said. And I went down the river and Dad couldn't get me. So I was like, how did I hold on? I don't even know. But the story goes, and everybody talked about it for years, so I guess it happened. Can't fact check it. They said they grabbed me out. Dad grabbed and started to go up the muddy riverbank and slipped and fell. Now, Dad was 6'2".
Yeah, he's big.
On top of me, on my face, like into the mud. I had a big fat lip and all that. So that's why the water thing. That's why I made you guys
we
get
had to
swim
do
lessons.
like 10 different, we were the oldest kids in swim lessons with like little like preschoolers. Ashley and I would be like 6 doing the little PB&J sandwiches on the little kickboards.
Yep. Everybody dive.
Yeah.
And that was 1 through 5. Never went to kindergarten and just ping pong around. But then at 6 years old, started first grade. And I remember Mom getting more and more sad. Things weren't great between them. But then I have this memory of we were at her work and it was late at night and she was sobbing, the 3 of us, my mom and dad and I, and she was loading up all her stuff in her desk in boxes and putting it in the car. She got let go.
Got it.
And we don't know if she did have dizzy spells and vertigo. We don't, and she was
You would think this is our like blood. Like there's so many similarities that I feel like we even have. That's crazy.
I know.
With her,
yeah. So I don't know if the dizziness was from drinking or Valium that she was recently on.
Yes.
The Valium they used to give out like candy back then, back in the 60s, you know.
Yeah.
This was the 60s now, mid 60s.
I always think in Queen's Gambit when they would just give the stuff to the kids.
Exactly.
And they just like had it all the time.
Found out years later the Valium actually turned on her and it got to it because she was on it for the rest of her life. So, you know, that's like 30, 40 years of Valium. And after a while, it steadies out so it doesn't do anything, but then it actually turns on you and creates severe anxiety and depression.
Did you know what anxiety or depression was at that time?
Not at that time.
Yeah.
No.
Was that even, like for your mom, like did she even know she had depression? Like was that even a term then really that was used?
I think so because in a minute I'll get to she was suicidal.
Yeah.
She did 2 suicidal attempts. And so they did put her in the mental hospital for a month. And
were you around for those times?
Yeah. In fact, that's probably right about now, about 6 years old. Then she lost her job. I remember that night, and she got even more depressed. And from that point on, she really doubled down on the alcohol, the Valium, and still the 2.5 packs a day.
Yeah.
And so did Dad. I was like always embarrassed because my friends were like, "Man, you open the front door and a whole cloud comes out of your."
But they were just doing their best.
Oh, they were doing their very best. So 6 years old. Around that time, I remember now because Mom was kind of spiraling down and stuff. Dad was still sort of maintaining as a functioning alcoholic. You know how families do when one isn't functioning well. Other people, without even thinking, usually subconsciously, the other family members, if there's dysfunction, jump in to try to normalize it. It was described to me in a seminar and therapy once as a mobile that's very delicately balanced because all the pieces are very delicate. But if you cut off one of them, everything's out of whack. So the other one scrambled trying to like balance everything out because like deep down, everybody wants a functioning family.
Yeah.
But really the older I get, like how many families do we know?
There's none.
No.
It's like there's
we
no
all
one.
we all have our issues and our pains and traumas and all that. Then we're all figuring it out, you know? So it's so great now to be able to look back and go, wow, considering my parents' background and even my dad's I could get into too, but it's kind of, don't want to take all the time on that. But
yeah, I want to talk about you too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you understand why. So yeah, then Mom kind of got worse. Dad tried to balance it all out. And one day, so that included my dad not only doing the full-time job because we didn't have any money. I didn't know that, but I thought that was normal too.
Yeah.
I never knew. Like they would buy like one pair of clothes for school and that's just all you did. Other than that, it was like
the same outfit every day.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Back then, we liked cords.
This is why I give you
cool.
so much stuff when you come over.
Oh,
I'm like,
you
have
guys.
this jacket, have this sweater.
You guys always spoil
No, it like
me.
breaks my heart.
But you know, but we're happy when, like Eros and I were talking this morning, when it's all you know, you're happy.
No,
and they did. I knew I was loved.
Yeah.
I knew that. So they were deteriorating. Dad, he not only kept the job going, but he started taking over grocery shopping, all the cooking, all the laundry.
Doing both roles.
Yeah, doing all the roles, yeah. So I would go with him to the grocery store. One day, I remember it was a rainy day, we're coming back home, and I remember, back then, nobody has seat belts.
Yeah.
Like I'm standing up in the front seat, probably 6 years old, I don't know. And we get close to the house, and there's an ambulance, and they were carrying my mom out. And I still remember, you get core memories with the emotion. I'm like, what's going on, They took her to the house. She had attempted suicide.
How did they know to come?
I don't know. I think she called my aunt. They say often when people are attempting suicide, they'll do a cry out. Oh. And I think she called my aunt. Well, back then there were no cell phones.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure to this day, I don't remember the details, but ambulance was there and they caught her in time and she'd done a whole lot of vodka and Valium together. And so then they put her in obviously she lived, wasn't her time to go yet.
Yeah.
And they put her in the psych ward for a month and they begged my mom if they could do the shock therapy. They begged my dad and he wouldn't, and it was kind of neat. He even something in Dad, he's like, nope, that's my wife. I don't feel good about that. We're not going to do that.
No, I feel like now, like then that's
it was
great. Like
harmful back then.
Even just like it was so new, like it's just like that's crazy that I don't know. That's
yeah. Crazy. So that was tough. And then Mom continued to go down.
Like when you're going to school, like do you just not talk about your parents?
According to the first grade teacher, right about that time, she said I changed. And I think my whole world changed back right about then after Mom lost her job. And she said, they called me Chrissy. They go, Chrissy went into a shell and like, she's not acting herself and something's wrong. And they said I wouldn't talk or anything, probably for a few years.
Did you even know what suicide was then?
I don't think so.
Like, did you just know Mom had an accident or something? Or
I don't think they fully explained to me what happened. I knew Mom was in the hospital for a long time. And I found years later letters I tried to write in first grade and pictures. And I would be like, Mommy, come home. We will do fun stuff. But here's something I look back, and that's when I became feeling responsible for my mom.
Yeah.
Like she did for her mama.
Yeah.
Because I was begging, I was telling her, it'll get better, if you come home. And then my mom told me later that that's when I started just trying to take care of her. And I began to sit up with her every single night for years. And, and she would be drinking a lot and I would put her to bed every night.
You had to be the mom.
I had to be the mom.
Yeah.
And kind of grow myself up from that point on, And it's just, you just got up, get ready for school, find something in the fridge of a leftover, which I still love. I love leftovers.
Me too, my soggy salad.
I know, right? Because we don't have to take time to cook.
I know, it's
we
great.
get our protein, that's good. See, everything passes down.
Yeah.
Hopefully not everything, but so I had some rough years there, but I did take responsibility for mom. And then at school, they said I just went really withdrawn, extremely withdrawn and everything. Then 4th grade, they did put me in a different school, a public school instead of the private one, which I think was good for me. And finally, for the first time, also during those years, mom and dad began to fight violently every night. And I don't know if any of your listeners, I'm sure so many. I love, by the way, your guys' listeners, when I just simply read your guys' comments and I'm like,
no, they're the best.
There's such a beautiful community here.
They're the best.
They are the best. I think it's so awesome.
And they love you.
And that's new to our generation, like the community that you and Rem have built.
Yeah.
And that you guys have built individually on your channels.
Thank you.
It warms my heart and I love them too. So they started fighting a lot. I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate, but it was every night. It would be loud. The neighbors could hear. And sometimes they'd throw things and dad put a fist through the wall and all that kind of thing. So it got pretty bad. But every time they fight, in your whole insides as a little kid just freezes up and tenses up, and I couldn't stand it.
Even if you don't know what's happening, you just know that's not, I'm not going to say not right, but you just know, conflict. You're aware of the energy and you know something's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Through it all, I knew they loved me, but something's not right. And this I don't like. It doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
So your home, which is supposed to be your safe place, is really unpredictable. It's scary. And you got to figure out a way to cope, So one day, it did get even worse. One night, my mom, when I was going to put her to bed, but she wasn't ready to go to bed yet. And she started venting and getting angry at my dad. And she grabbed the biggest butcher knife in our house. I know. And she just looked at me and said, I'm going to kill him. And I knew she meant it. And even as I think I was 11, and I was like, what do you do? What are you going to do? There's no cell phone. So I said no, and I screamed no, and I grabbed it. And I remember wrestling. We wrestled, for the knife over
And she was drunk.
Yeah. And I remember thinking how strong she was too. But of course,
You
I
were
was
11?
young. Yeah, I think about 11. And then all of a sudden, she broke and started crying and dropped it in the sink. And that was probably the worst it got though.
Yeah.
As far as violence.
That's still
and that.
pretty bad though.
But she didn't, thankfully she didn't. But it just wasn't a safe place. So I remember shortly after that.
But also feel at that young of an age, feeling like you're responsible to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's very heavy and very traumatic to have to hold.
Yeah. And I wasn't supposed to hold it, but
No.
we do, right? And so I remember often they'd be fighting and I'd get in between them and yell at dad because he was bigger and mom was 5'2". So I'm like,
wait, I didn't realize she was so short.
Yeah, she's little. I go, leave her alone. And I would, again, trying to be the rescuer.
Yeah.
But one particular day, I think it was afternoon, I remember them fighting always in the kitchen. And I remember standing by the couch and I don't know, the therapists that I had after, they go, wow, that was probably a God thing because nobody told me to do this. But I stood by the couch and I thought to myself consciously, I remember the moment, I remember what the yellow couch looked like. And I thought, they have issues. They're going to keep fighting, but it has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to let their fighting affect me ever again because I was sick of this awful feeling that it always brought. I thought, nope, that's their problem. That's their thing. And I was able to separate. So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think
that takes people years to learn.
That's what the counselor said. Yeah. So it worked, and I just went on with my life and music. And I decided to try to find friends and music and all that.
And you were playing the violin and what did the teacher say?
So I was playing, so 4th grade, I finally started coming out of the shell a little bit because music, I think that was another beautiful thing that plopped in my life, that I think could take my attention and stuff. So I started on violin because, they wouldn't let girls play drums.
Crazy.
And that's all they offered us actually. But Aunt Marianne's husband was an amazing violinist who graduated from Eastman School of Music, played actually in the top level in the Navy. And like,
Wow.
so this guy was really talented. So the parents, they kind of like, hey, you should do violin. Anyway, I kind of liked it. I got pretty good. Played it for about 7 years and ended up like in honor orchestra and really enjoying it. But the whole time, even growing up, actually, whenever I would see drums or percussion on the TV, on Lawrence Welk, anywhere like that, Mom and Dad said even when I was little, I'd go and get the pots and pans and, all the sticks that they would use to make mixed drinks and just do little like
You
play
have
drums.
a shaker, is like a mixer shaker.
It was a mixer. Well, when I was a toddler, I do remember them having a few parties, and they would laugh because all the adults would have their mixed drinks, and I would dip my pacifier in all the drinks and try all the different ones.
You're a party animal, Mama.
Yeah, I was. And Dad, he always gave me sips of his beer. I think he loved Coors.
That's so funny.
I liked it back then.
I mean, it's not, but
Yeah, I know. I grew up with it. It was no big deal.
I feel like it was a very different time.
Yeah. But then I started watching aunts and uncles die of cirrhosis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, maybe with my liver, maybe I
it's not
won't
worth it.
You're
Yeah.
right. It probably did. But anyway, yeah. And then the music really, really just clicked for me. And I kept playing violin, but looking back at the percussion going, that looks way more fun, So that's what, and when junior high, fast forward, and I asked the director, who was quite older, I go, can I please learn the drums? Because I was still pretty shy. And he goes, no, girls don't play drums. I go, okay.
I just feel like it's so crazy because, again, your adoptive mom, who you are not blood related to, also felt like she had to take care of her own mother and was told she can't learn.
Yeah.
She shouldn't go to school because
Right.
girls don't do that. You have a very similar mirror to that, and you're not even blood related.
Exactly.
So it's so like nature versus nurture is so interesting.
It's very interesting.
because it's like copy paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you're so
So you
right.
said no, just like she did.
Yeah. One downside, everything is usually there's the good, but there's the trade-off. There's always a double-fisted mystery sometimes, I think, with things that happen. The bad for Mom was her job became, because that was her dream, her whole identity.
Yeah.
So when I was 6, when she lost her job, that's why her life spiraled.
Yeah.
And really, she went into a deep depression and something called agoraphobia, fear to leave the house, fear
Yeah.
of wide open places that she never, ever fully recovered from. So as a teenager watching this, however much this is accurate, I don't know, but I told myself, it appeared to me, if I put all my value and identity in my job or career, that could happen to me.
Yeah.
Because it can be pulled out from under me, and I don't want to
But that
derail
also
and
goes back
crash
to
like
safety
that.
and security.
True.
You're like, I can't trust.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't trust.
So I tried to
jobs or-
keep that all my life, like don't put all my identity or value. Don't think I'm valued because of a job. And I've even though I have slipped into that, you try not to, but it's just been something to try to be aware of. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It repeated.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
find that so interesting.
So where were we?
So then,
Oh, yeah.
no, drums. So then you started becoming really good at drumming.
And all of a sudden, I had some older friends at the high school where I was going to go, and they were all in the band, the marching
Yeah.
band. I'm like, I need friends. I need a social life. So it was almost like overnight. The uncle that I mentioned, he helped me a little bit get started on drums. I was mostly self-taught. We didn't have any money. So I decided to make a drum set in the backyard. And it was back in the days when we make rotisserie chickens on a barbecue. There was like this big old metal tin hood. So Dad had a big rusty one. So I thought that would be a good bass drum. So I made that like that.
This is
And
why
then-
this is where I get it, because when people are like, I want to be a content creator, but I don't know, like, I don't have the equipment. Or anytime, or like, I want to be a drummer, but I don't have a drum set. I'm old, like, I think you instilled that in me, or that's blood. I don't know, but like, to me, I'm just like, but then make it, like, figure it out. Like, that's an excuse. And I feel like it's the same. Like, obviously, yes, having a real drum set's nice, but like, clearly, if you really want to learn, you can make it work.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that's like been passed down to me
I
from
love
you,
that.
because I think growing up, though, I always heard you tell your drum students, like, oh, just like grab some pots and pans, like, or just make it, like,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that like I didn't realize was so special until I got older, that's such a good quality to have.
Oh, I'm glad. Thanks. Thanks, honey. That's great. Yeah, I know. I've had students over the years. Sometimes they'll just tape a spoon to their shoes.
Yeah.
And it'll click on the floor.
That's a
and
pedal.
they thrive. Yeah, it works. Huh?
Yeah. I
So
think we
did.
hold ourselves back so much.
We do. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I got like old coffee cans, and I remember a Kleenex box for the snare. And then I thought, I I need a symbol. So I cut the bottom out of another coffee can and nailed it to a stick.
There you go.
And I just jammed in the backyard, but I do remember a neighbor screaming and saying, "Shut up." I think it was pretty loud.
Maybe they weren't tuned like a normal drum set. Maybe they would have been like,
Yeah, but there started the drumming career. And then shortly after, because of those friends, now I was finally going into high school. And honestly, I think junior high was pretty awkward. I mean, I was pretty awkward, but I didn't know I was awkward.
No, we always say that you were blessed with this like naiveness. And I think it was given to you like because of how hard your childhood was, like that you weren't aware of. Like middle school is hard enough with like bullying and kids. And especially if you are showing up in the same outfit every day, I'm sure people were like, but like for you to not notice that, I feel like was such a blessing, because I can't even imagine having to deal with that on top of it all.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was good to be clueless.
Yeah, no, like I truly think it's such a blessing in your story.
It was. I'm grateful for naive.
Yeah, like it was a protection.
I think I probably, like I never, Mom sadly was pretty ill by now.
Yeah.
She was either in bed all day or on the couch staring at the TV, and that was kind of her existence.
Honestly, nothing kills a cute outfit faster than throwing on some random jacket that doesn't go with the vibe. I just recently got the Amaze Puff jacket from Columbia, and it's going to be perfect for the fall and winter season.
First off, it's a down jacket, so it's warm and cozy. It's not bulky or stiff like so many puffers out there that I've tried. And if you guys know me, I am a jacket connoisseur. I love, 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 love my jackets. The material is insanely soft. It feels like a hug when you put it on.
And since it's weather resistant, I know I can take it on trips too, whether that's a quick getaway to the mountains or flying somewhere actually cold. It's a jacket I can use here in LA, but also pack for anywhere.
For Christmas, Cal and I are talking about maybe going to see his family in Minnesota, which is a little bit colder. So you best bet I will be bringing my Columbia jacket.
And then it's the details that really make it my favorite. The super soft thumb holes that keep your hands warm, a chunky zipper that's easy to grab even if you've got gloves on, and a removable hood so you can change up the look. The built-in backpack straps blew my mind, because if you're traveling or even just going out and suddenly it's too warm, you can literally take it off and carry it like a backpack. I love that it's multi-use, compact, and travel-friendly. It makes the most versatile jacket and piece of clothing I own. It also has OmniShield technology to keep moisture and stains away. Plus, it comes in 11 different colors and 3 lengths, so you can totally style it however you want. For me, it's not just about being warm, it's about having a jacket that looks good and feels good everywhere I go.
So if you're looking for your new go-to jacket, whether it's for chilly LA nights or traveling somewhere colder, head to Columbia.com to get your hands on an Amaze Puff jacket. They're tough on cold, soft on you. There's something so special about Thanksgiving weekend. Everyone's back in their hometown, visiting the same coffee shops, running into old friends. It's the time of year when the group chats come to life and you find yourself reconnecting with people that you haven't seen in years. That's one of the reasons I love using Facebook this time of year. It always finds a way to bring people together. You might see a post from your old high school group about everyone meeting up at your favorite local bar, or maybe you notice that a friend you haven't seen in forever is back in town. One quick message later and you're chatting up like old times. Actually, recently on Facebook, our old ASB group has been trying to get together to plan our high school reunion, because it's that time. We haven't done one yet, and we've been actually trying to figure out through Facebook, our old ASB 2013 Facebook group chat, how are we all going to meet up and how are we going to figure this out, because we all have to see each other again. The holidays are all about connection, and Facebook makes it so easy. Whether it's commenting on a post, joining a local group, or sharing a photo that sparks a conversation, it's the small things that remind you how good it feels to stay in touch. I recently joined a Facebook group for people in my area for holiday recipes, and it's turned into the funniest, most wholesome thread of people just sharing their Thanksgiving wins and fails. It's those little moments that make everything feel more connected. And it's not just about friends either. Facebook is the reason I know even what's happening around town during the holidays. From local pop-up markets to neighborhood light shows, there's always something new to check out. I love scrolling through events and seeing all the festive things that are happening nearby. I also love Facebook Marketplace. I've bought so many things on Facebook Marketplace, and it is amazing. At the end of the day, that's what the holidays are really all about, finding little ways to reconnect, reminisce, and share what's going on in your life. And Facebook makes it feel all effortless. A little connection goes a long way.
So friends, school, band, music, everything. That was everything to me. But I still, because she was so ill, I never learned how to do the makeup and the hair like Eros did. But I didn't know I looked so, Hey,
you look beautiful.
Oh, thanks, honey. But I don't think you'd have said that, because in 9th grade, one of my friends, I remember Jana, I think was her name, she came up to me and she's like, Chris. She goes, girl, I'm thinking, what if I took you to the girl who does my hair?
Oh,
and I
your
said,
little
sure.
redhead.
Yeah, I was just like straight and tangled. And she did the first, back then it was called wings, but it was still just
Little
like
curtain
curtain bangs.
bang.
Yeah. And so she would like kind of look out for me and kind of teach me a little bit about lipstick and makeup. So, yeah, but I think I had some friends looking out for me, so that was good. People were looking out for me a lot.
And then you got
And
your
I
makeup done today.
I know, that's why it's extra special. Thank you. So high school was great. Like, it was almost like overnight things shifted because all of a sudden friends, all of a sudden
Community.
Community, a place to belong, people that know your name. And I was shocked that I was pretty good. Drums came natural. It came before I knew it. The directors, they made me the lead drummer in the marching band. I was in
I'm sure
jazz
some
band.
boys were pissed.
And I was playing in community, like one thing. Oh, I forgot to tell you. When I would sit at night trying to put mom to bed, but in the summers I was bored and mom was home, so she would send me to the liquor store when I was young on my bike, and she'd call the liquor store, say, send Chris, some bourbon and everything. And she said I could get a Slurpee next door if I wanted, so it was like, oh, Slurpee. And that's why I like cherry.
You were her Postmates.
I was her Postmates on my red bike. Yep. And I'd come home, give her booze, and we would play rummy for hours, but playing on the
Rummy
radio.
Cube?
No, it's like a gin rummy.
Oh,
and
no
so,
idea.
but she would always have jazz playing on the radio, and Dad would always put on big band. And I used to not like it, but later on, I grew to really appreciate.
Yeah.
For years, all I heard was jazz classics, big band, even Latin. I'm like, whoa. This came into play much later when I started actually gigging. To this day.
Yeah.
When I go to Palm Springs or something, like, we never rehearse.
Yeah.
But any old jazz standard or anything or any oldie they pull up, I know it. And they're like, how do you know it? I'm like, I grew up with
You're
it.
like,
I'm
it's just it's coming out.
It is that. So that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
So mom and dad, also another thing they had was Broadway show albums, which you will appreciate.
Yeah.
Something about Broadway captivated me.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the high school, the jazz director put together community Broadway shows. So before I knew it, I made it in the jazz band in 9th grade. And he come to find out he was a top professional drummer, took me under his wing, gave me private lessons. And by the time I was 15, he was getting me professional gigs around the community. So I'd get to go do jazz gigs. And I thought, oh, this is all I ever wanted. He got me in with, I played with the Inland Empire Symphony as a percussionist, like all this during high school.
I wish there were vlogs back then. If I could watch all this, I would be like, oh my God.
Yeah, even Chapman College and Valley College, they had sort of a program where they would sort of scout high schoolers that had promise, potential.
They're like, it's a girl.
I know. So they would bring me into these colleges, even when I was in high school, and let me play in their jazz bands and their symphonies at Chapman. So I'm like, wow. So I knew pretty quick, like, this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you're
and really
good
all
at
I
it.
wanted to do was make people happy with music. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I would
that's
live,
me
eat, and
with
breathe.
all this shit.
I know. When I see you doing this, honey, I'm like, Alisha is motivated just like I was.
We have a
just to
lot of
bring joy.
similarities.
Yeah.
Looks and, work ethic.
I love it. And that's a compliment to me. So, high school was great.
Yeah.
Friends and gigs and music and everything. And I really kind of did still separate myself, though, from home. We got along fine, but I wasn't home if I didn't need to be.
Yeah.
And I knew to never invite anyone home.
Yeah.
In fact, even in elementary school and junior high, I would ride my bike home really, really quick because my mom, by this time, poor mom, she had spiraled down to where often when I came home, she was passed out in the floor and sometimes bleeding if she had cut her face on her glasses or whatnot. So that responsibility, I was like, I got to come home and make sure mom's okay. But but later years, by the time I got in high school, it was like, I didn't carry that anymore.
But were you resentful ever of like, fine?
I think
like,
so.
Lay,
yeah. I think
like that's, you know what I mean? I would be.
Yeah. With both of them, I think I got to that point kind of towards the end of high school. And I wonder if I had to be
Also, you had
to
other
be
stuff
able
to
to leave.
focus on.
Right. Because I
Yeah.
know they didn't want me to leave because when it was time, fast forward, the gigs were great. My jazz teacher was great. We stayed in touch for years. And, but then you remember we were pretty poor. And I guess being clueless, teachers and parents, I started teaching way back then too, because other kids were like,
Yeah,
hey, teach
that's
me
easy
drums.
money, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So their parents would pick me up and I'd go teach them drum lessons. They're like, Chris, where are you going to college? I go, oh, mom and dad says we can't afford college. I won't be going, And back then it was the thing like you
You had to.
yeah. And they were like, oh no, you're going to go. I said, what? And I remember going to mom and dad, and they're like, we're so sorry. And their faces were so sad. They go, we can't afford to send you to college. I go, that's okay, mom and dad, it's okay. I go, I'll figure it out.
I know, but then I got mad at you guys when you said you couldn't send me to a 4-year.
Oh, that's okay, honey. Oh, I understood.
I was like, that's what you do. Like,
I know.
we're supposed to go to college.
I know.
But I wouldn't be sitting here if that was the case. So
I know. Yeah, and then the community college worked out.
yeah, they know.
Oh, they know. Oh, yeah, and that. Yeah,
Like, I'm on here every
but
week.
I know we felt so bad.
I
Like
know.
we didn't have the money.
But same mirror situation happening.
That's
you know,
right. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
The same thing. Well, some of these parents of the students' families, they're like, Chris, this week I want you to come over. We're going to work on some college apps and some scholarship applications. I go, what's that? You know, I was clueless, and they did it. Like back then it was typewriters, but they got me to audition for all these scholarships and grants because, you know, we were at that level. They started coming in my senior year. Like I won this scholarship and that one and this one. And I thought, wow, I guess I am going to college. You
So
know,
you
plus
got a
grants.
full ride.
Close.
Pretty close.
The way it panned out for me, the freshman year was pretty much paid. Then by sophomore, some of those are a little less.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those scholarships are one-time ones.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the grants still worked. Yeah, it was like little less. Yeah. So all that worked out.
SDSU?
SDSU, yep. But then I remember at high school they had like the awards thing because I never knew, like, I knew I had friends in the band, but then kind of like I could hang out also with the hardcore partiers or the cheerleader group, and maybe they were just being nice. I don't know, but I would hang out with all of them. Maybe they felt sorry for me.
Or
I
maybe
don't
you
know.
were cool.
Maybe I was. I'm really clueless. I do not know, but I do remember one moment at the senior awards ceremony, and I was shocked they started giving me all these trophies and all these awards and scholarships, and they kept calling my name. And I was in shock, like, and I walk across and they all did standing ovation, all the kids. And I thought, wow, maybe they do like me. That was a pretty special moment. They did like who's who in music. And then music was really opening up, you know?
Yeah.
So then college was kind of a bummer. So then I go to college. I remember mom and dad were sad.
Yeah.
They were real sad.
But you were probably so
But I
excited
was
to get
separated.
away,
I'm like, yeah, I know it sucks, but bye.
Yeah. I know, so sad.
Later. Bye. But I got there. It was great for the first couple of weeks, and they gave me more recognition and all these awards for some reason. But quickly I felt lost and depressed and no purpose in life. And it was a pretty big college too, you know. And I had a couple friends, friends. My roommate and I were close. One boyfriend like followed me there, and he was a music major. I had some friends. So it wasn't that, but it felt political, and it was political. I found out quickly that if you wanted to pass back then, I don't want to like say anything negative about the college now, because I'm sure it's way better.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. But there were many directors and many bands and groups you had to be, and you had to please them sometimes in all kinds of ways to get passed. And
I'm sure that's still happening in many places.
Yeah. So, and I didn't just
also
enjoy
being a girl drummer, so you were in a very male-dominated. And I'm sure, obviously, once you played, I'm sure even though with all the talent that you had, like men still were just like,
yeah,
you know, that's
I did get mocked and laughed at a lot by some of the guys in the percussion department.
Yeah, but then you'd show them up, and then you'd be better than them.
Yeah, maybe a couple times, but not all the time. Not all the time. Yeah. So I didn't like it, and it just felt kind of yucky, and I was starting to feel, and then I was starting to get like just a lot of thoughts about like the whole eternity thing that was bothering me at night, like. How do I know where I'm going to go when I die?
Yeah.
What if I get hit by a truck?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like also haunting me too.
Also, like, what's the point of life if you just had your parents, you've heard about theirs, like, you're like, oh, is this it? Like,
that's what I thought, because I thought
like, 'cause this sucks.
right, you're right.
Yeah.
And I really thought I'd always be happy or find like that fulfillment with a good music career. Well, now it kind of happened because here I had this college thing. I could also gig in clubs on the side. Everything seemed, and everyone at college said, you are so lucky. Like my friends would say, everything just falls in place for you. And I think, wow, I hear what they're saying, but how come inside I'm not,
You don't feel that.
not feeling that.
Yeah.
And then for some reason growing
Also,
up.
the identity
True.
of you not wanting it to be your identity, like maybe in another multiverse where you let it be your identity, you would have been like, yes, this is where you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like maybe
good
you were just
point.
like, you quickly were able to learn like, I mean,
I think you're right.
like not as fulfilled.
On top of that, somewhere from junior high on, like probably most young girls, I felt like you had to have a boyfriend, not because you liked them, but because you were supposed to have one, and that would make me complete. Well, I did.
You're like,
I'd have boyfriend through high school. Yeah.
I mean, men usually aren't the best anyway.
Yeah, we weren't really getting along that well. And like he irritated me and I think I irritated him.
You turn around, you're like, move, like go away, do something.
Yeah. So you're right. I think I had what I always thought. And it's like, I don't feel this happiness and fulfillment that I thought.
I have a question. Around this time, at what point did you think about your birth parents?
Never.
Really?
Never. Nope. And I did have a couple of, actually I have them here somewhere, newspaper clippings that my adoptive mom had always saved of my birth mom. So shortly after she gave birth
It's crazy everything was just in the newspaper back then, which obviously now everything's on the internet. So it's like similar but different. But it's just so crazy that like you could just cut a newspaper printing of someone like that.
Yep. So I always had those. I'd look at them occasionally, but no desire to meet them, my birth parents.
Interesting.
Or at all.
Because I feel like a lot of people who are adopted do.
Yeah.
Not that there's any right or wrong way, but, or maybe that was just one other thing you couldn't deal with. You had so much more to deal with too, you know?
Yeah. I do remember in high school, there was this drummer that I really looked up to. He was really good in one of the Broadway shows. And so we always played in the pit orchestra. And I loved Broadway shows. And so I did so many, even in college and after college. But anyway, one day he didn't show up. And the director was like furious, and I asked if I could try.
Can I try?
And I was on the violin, that was back in.
Oh, you were on the violin. You asked to try for the drums.
He goes, actually it was Mr. Will. I remember now.
Oh.
I had just met him. I was in there for a summer theater
that was
thing.
your drum teacher.
Yeah. And later. Yeah. And he goes, you? And I go, yeah, well, I'm just trying to learn. He goes, go try.
Yeah. Like who else is gonna?
And it just clicked. I don't know. It clicked.
I bet his mouth was open. I bet everyone's mouth was open.
Come back tomorrow. I go, okay, I will, and I just loved it. That's right. That's how I met him right before I started the high school. That's right. So that was cool. College. So anyway, I just started getting more and more like disillusioned with college. I didn't really like the music.
Yeah, you're like, this is boring.
So I played in the clubs and the bars down there. Did that for a while, but even that wasn't nearly as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. So about that time too, that was for me like a spiritual moment where a friend of mine had become a Christian. For me, that was, I thought maybe faith is what I told my boyfriend. We're fighting all the time. I go, you know what our problem is? We should probably we probably need to go to church. That's probably what. So we went, but that particular one just didn't really, I guess, click for me. Anyway, the friend had become a Christian. I decided to check out her church, and that intrigued me. I'm like, something about this, I think this is what I'm missing. And so just all by myself, one night before I went on tour with one of the college bands to Tahoe, I just knelt down and I just, asked the Lord to save me and change my life. And he just did. I was 19. And I think that that was really a pivotal moment. Yeah. Where that was the beginning of the identity and purpose, finally not being so much in the music or the boyfriend or the career or anything else. That started bringing a centeredness and a beautiful journey that's still going, honestly.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for kids that grew up with a similar story or alcoholic parents or?
Yeah. Well, during those years, remember I said I had that moment of separation.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is you have to do that sometimes to survive. And probably so many of your listeners that have a dysfunctional family in any kind, not just alcohol, but there's so many kinds of dysfunction and addictions that sadly, I think when parents bring a child into this world, they want to they want to give them everything emotionally, physically, spiritually, all the things. But oftentimes their own pain and trauma in life, it just gets in the way and they don't intend it. But so to survive that, we do have to sometimes be able to separate our identity and our personhood from our parents and recognize I love them. They're my parents. I'm grateful, but they've got their own issues and I cannot fix them. I can't fix them. I can't heal them and I cannot control this chaos. I'm only responsible for my own choices. And even with that, I need God's help every day, right? Like we all, And so that would take the pressure maybe off their shoulders. And then two things remind me resentment. But the other thing is when you do that separation, sadly, often what goes with it and what I did, I don't know if everyone does, but you suppress your emotions. Yeah. You get out of touch with what you are feeling because you become a survivor and you're just in survival mode and you just have to cope every day. So you get through the day and you double down on your school, work, whatever your responsibilities are. But you do often, anyway, I did, get gradually out of touch with your emotions. So I did have a best friend that she goes, I want to know what makes you tick. Like, you always are acting happy, but no one's always happy, Chris.
Yeah.
What's really, and she helped me get in touch a little
Yeah.
bit, with reality.
Yeah.
So I would say to your listeners, one, understand that your loved ones' pain and trauma and their issues and addictions are not your fault, and that has nothing to do with you. Because just like children of divorced and broken families, children have a way of being pretty self-centered. We think everything's about us, and it's not. It's not, but we think it is. So yeah, and then to survive, like separate yourself, but also try to stay in touch with your own emotions and find some support. Find someone that's safe that can help you do that. Someone you trust. It's not going to like blab all your, personal stuff all around, but you got to be able to talk about, how am I feeling? Let me identify it right now. And how can I express it? For me, later on, that showed up later on in life in the form of panic attacks.
Yeah.
Because when we
there will be a 3-part series eventually, because there's so much. I even like you meeting dad, or even the anxiety attacks and depression, and then even it's so crazy because obviously I didn't grow up with your parents, so I've noticed growing up I always call them your mom and dad versus grandma and grandpa, because but I try to get back. I try to like right now I was about to be like your mom, where I'm like, oh no, but like it is grandma, but it's just so funny because I didn't grow up with them because they passed pretty young.
Yeah, they were only 63 and 64 in 1990, so 3 years before you were born.
Yeah.
I'm so sad you never got to meet them. They would have loved you. They would have loved you.
But there's so much I want to talk about, but also going into the panic attacks and depression, obviously that's something. Obviously I know this because we've talked off camera multiple times in our lives. But that was a huge point for you. Like, you thought it was just, you were having anxiety, you were having depression, but now you can trace it also to you suppressing all your feelings too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And probably, the whole nurture nature, there's some genetic predisposition probably, I think, to anxieties and depression as well, but our environment is what's going to probably aggravate it or trigger it or whatnot. So combination.
You go into that really quick?
Yeah. So
because I've talked about anxiety a lot, and obviously I've learned a lot from you, and I feel so grateful because you helped me so much. Even the first time I had heart palpitations, I thought I was having a heart attack, and you're like, oh, those are normal, honey. They're harmless. And I was like, okay. Because I'm Googling it and it's saying I'm going to die. So
Google
I'm like,
always says that.
Yeah. So you've helped me a lot.
I'm so glad.
How old were you when those started?
Probably 21, 22.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And remind me, I just remembered another story where my mom, where the alcohol, I should probably do this too. Then
go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how old I was, preteen somewhere, and I'm so bad with years, but the alcohol had gotten so bad that she got severe cirrhosis of the liver, and her body was shutting down, and she was turning all yellow, and she refused to go to the hospital. So I remember walking in the bedroom. She was laying there dying. All the relatives were gathered around begging her to go in the hospital. And she could be stubborn. She's like, I'm not, I'm done. She was done because she had tried suicide even another time. So, but she was done. And I remember I walked in there and being the little rescuer and I remember saying something along the lines of, Mommy, please go to the hospital because I need you. And I remember her face. She broke down and started sobbing and said, okay, I'll go. Well, when she got there, the problem is all the relatives said, oh, Chrissy saved her life. And I believed them. Yeah. They said, oh, she's so strong. She saved her mom's life. And I grew up with that burden,
that you had to, or if you didn't.
And that I had the power.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That more than anything.
That only like yesterday. No.
You're like, yeah, so I just found that out.
No, that's something I really have to. That
at such a young age to think that's That's a lot.
So when loved ones would die after that, I thought I failed to pray enough, or I failed to love enough, or because that instance made me
learning
think,
things. This makes so much sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I thought I had the power.
Yeah.
So later when she died, I had guilt for a year. And one day I remember driving on the freeway and I had guilt, and I was just like under this cloud, like, oh, I'm just the worst daughter in the world. My mom died because I suck. And all of a sudden this thought, which I believe was God helping me, it was really loud. It said, Chris. I mean, it was so loud. I didn't hear a voice, but it was so loud in my head. And it surprised me. And I'm driving on the Day Street off-ramp on the 60 freeway. Yes. And I'm like, huh? And it's like, do you really think you have that much power? And I'm like, huh? He goes, that you could stop me from bringing one of my children home when it's time? And I said, no, sir. And I felt all the weight come off me. So I'm not saying for sure that was like God, but it's what happened in my mind. And it sure released me of all the guilt. So it probably was. Because I don't have the power.
No,
and it
none
was
of
such
us
a
do.
freedom. None of us do.
Oh my God. And we even grandma having cancer and then it going away.
Oh,
and like
there was that miracle too.
There's so much that
she
I
had
want to
that.
dive into, but I know we're running on time.
Okay, I moved back up here from San Diego. I took a job that was kind of a lame job, but I took it anyway because my friend worked there. And they wanted me to go to this like meeting, this nighttime conference they had. I go to the conference. I'm on my way home late at night, San Bernardino. I know I had a green light. And then, but I didn't look both ways.
Me on roller skates. Look both ways, Alisha. Look both ways. I'm like, okay, Mom.
Me walking Bentley to this day.
Yes.
I'm like Bentley and Toby. I'm like, stop the dogs. Look both ways, and they don't cross the street. Toby would not unless he looked both ways. Bentley's still learning.
He doesn't like walking.
I know. No, it makes me carry him. So I'm driving, and then I did not look both ways. It's probably 1 a.m. Here comes a Trans Am flying through the intersection, hit me broadside. I go flying against the across the intersection. I remember going, Jesus, Jesus. Yeah, like I was so scared. Jesus, yeah. Literally, it broke the axle of my car and ran me against and I just was in shock. And then how did I there was a witness. There was there was a guy and a girl there and I didn't even realize they were there.
This is so funny. I just actually told this story on Basically.
Really?
Yeah.
Must have been a payphone or something. And I called my best friends, my 2 best friends.
Oh my God.
And they came to the scene of the accident. The guy gets out of the Trans Am. It was splintered. It was also because, they're fiberglass, at least back then, and his girlfriend. And he was saying, I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot. I'm such a jerk. I ran the red light. And I'm like, yeah. Then there was a police, and he did a report, and he looked at me, and he looked at Mike. He goes, you are so lucky. He goes, look, 1 inch more back, impact, you would not be here. And that kind of shook me, actually more than the accident.
Yeah.
And all I know is my ankle's a little sore, but I was fine. I walked away. And my friends were like, you are so lucky. So I had a little apartment in a rough area of town. And they go to your apartment after they did the police report and everything. The guy admitted his fault and he get a hot bath and just try to relax. But that night, I remember trying to get a hot bath and relax in bed. Something just felt different in my body. And I didn't have a word for it yet. Learned later it's called sensitization of your nervous system. It's when you've carried a lot of stress or suppressed emotions, typically, for a lot of years and a lot of stress, and we don't know. But our little nervous system and our brain and our cortisol and our adrenaline has been on overdrive. Oh, you can relate.
No, sorry, I started laughing because I'm like, this. Whenever you meet a mom or parent of someone, things just make sense. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I just feel like me here on the pod always being like, guys, I just learned about this. And it's because I just feel like it's very clear we're related. Because I'm so invested. I love it.
I love that too. That's so fun.
Okay. So you learned that.
Yep. And so I didn't, but at the time I didn't know. All I know is the next day at work, somebody would like slam a door and I would jump a mile and my boss goes, Chris, what is up with you? Like, you're not a jumpy person. Like, something's different. I'm like, I know, but I don't know what's different. I mean, I had the accident, but I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so that turned into a long lawsuit because it turned out it was a district attorney of Ontario. And he knew he ran the red light and he was kissing his girlfriend. And so he didn't want to admit. So he changed his tune and he said that I ran the red light. And now it was just my word against his. So the insurance companies were like fighting and everything. And I didn't know what to do. So the same two friends that are always bailing me, I didn't have a car now. So they're driving me to work and they go, well, let's say a prayer. And we did, but I forgot about the prayer. Later on, like a month later, I get a phone call at work and they're like, hey, we're the insurance company of the district attorney who hit you. We got a confession letter from his girlfriend because her conscience was bothering her so bad she could not sleep at night. And she said, I can't sleep. My boyfriend's lying. It was not that poor girl's fault. He ran the red light. He was kissing me. And so
I'm sure ex-boyfriend now.
Ex-boyfriend now. That's right. Like later, dude. And so then they came and they go, we're going to write you a settlement check. So I got to buy another car, but it was a clunker.
What kind?
My friends were horrified. They shook their head. It was an old truck.
I bet it was cute.
It was not cute. And it had a mismatched shell. Back then we had shell.
Okay.
Because I thought it could carry my drums.
Yes. And did it?
No, the stick shift broke off in the middle of the intersection.
Wait, driving away?
No, my friend was driving it. My friend, the guy friend, Stacy, and he said, Chris, I haven't cussed in years until today because he was driving it and it broke off and you could see the street down below the stick shift where they go, why did you spend your money? I said, 'cause I thought it could haul my drums. Anyway.
As we all know, it's football season and I just watched a game the other day. 4 hours of my life. 4 hours.
That's
Went
a flight
into
to New
overtime.
York.
I wish I had been more focused on my food and drink because I would have been happier.
I will say I don't care who wins or loses in most games because I always win. Because I have amazing snacks. I have food. I have drinks. I have a Casamigos margarita in my hand, and usually margarita pizza. And it's great because Casamigos margaritas go with anything.
No, guys, it's absolutely genius. As a girl that loves throwing any sort of watch party with lots of snacks, we all know pizza, amazing game day snack. Margaritas, amazing game day drink. So the Casamigos Margs and Margs pairing guide is fantastic because not only do they have margarita recipes on there, maybe you are looking for some new inspiration, you need some new flavor combos, they've got you covered, as well as pizza pairings, which I feel like I also need because I'm a creature of habit and I love mixing it up and I need a little help sometimes.
And you can wow everyone. With, just wow them.
So if you guys are hosting your next watch party and you need a little inspiration, check out the Casamigos Margs and Margs pairing guide. Again, as I said, they have margarita recipes on there as well as pizza pairings to have the best game day watch party. All you guys have to do is head to tinyurl.com/margs and margs to check it out. That's tinyurl.com/margs and margs for your own Casamigos Margs and Margs pairing guide today.
Please drink responsibly. Casamigos Tequila, 40% alc/volume, imported by Casamigos Spirits Co., LLC, White Plains, New York. Please do not forward to anyone under 21.
It's officially that time of year again, the season of finding the perfect holiday gifts. That's why I've been shopping on The RealReal lately. You guys know I love The RealReal. Alisha and I are obsessed. It's the most trusted name in authenticated luxury resale, and it's become my go-to for finding what I call real gifts, the ones that actually mean something. The RealReal stands out because everything feels thoughtful, sustainable, and one of a kind. A couple years ago, there was a bag from Louis Vuitton, a Murakami bag that I was dying for so long. I talked about it so much, and Alisha actually surprised me with it from The RealReal. I've sold things on The RealReal. I buy things on The RealReal. They have the best pieces, and if you have not tried them, they are amazing. Like, can you imagine the look on your partner's face when they open that little box and see something from Cartier or Tiffany & Co., and it's those moments that make giving so much fun. And The RealReal makes it easy because they have over 10,000 pre-loved designer items dropping daily. I also love that everything on The RealReal is authenticated in person by luxury and fashion experts, and the prices are amazing, up to 90% off retail. You can find pieces from brands like Gucci, Fendi, Prada, Louis Vuitton, and so many more. The RealReal's expert editors and gift guides make it so easy. Also, selling on The RealReal is just as easy as buying. They handle everything: photography, pricing, shipping, even customer service, so it could not be more convenient. The RealReal is the world's largest and most trusted resource for authenticated luxury resale. With thousands of pre-loved luxury arrivals daily, no one does resale like The RealReal, and no one makes the holidays shine brighter than The RealReal. And now get $25 off your first purchase when you go to therealreal.com/basic. That's therealreal.com/basic to get $25 off. Start shopping now at therealreal.com/basic.
So you fast forward to feeling off. It ended up being a 3-year journey and battle, which was awful on one hand, but once again, the trade-off, a double fist there. Like, there's always both, and there's always good that comes out of everything, because for 3 years, nobody taught me about journaling, but I instinctively just started journaling. That was the beginning. because I would start writing every day. I look forward to after work, exhausted from all the stress, but I knew I was going to go to bed early and journal and journal and just write letters. Sometimes I write letters to God. Sometimes I would just write, and it helped something about getting it out of the head and onto the paper, identifying the emotions first of all. Then I could start feeling them and processing like, wow, this is cool. I'd find myself sometimes just sobbing just with me and my journal. And one of my things.
Do you still have those journals? I want to see them.
Okay.
I would love that.
I kept them. I almost threw them away,
archives.
but it's like,
Why would you throw them away?
It'll be boring. You're going to see the same old thing day after day.
No.
Okay. Sometimes you'll see a lot of tears, but
I know I've always said you need to write a book. Because we're only on chapter 2, honestly, right now. With your life story, and I know you wanted to start that process, but those can be in it.
Okay,
we can photocopy them, and put them in it.
That's a great idea.
I know, it's crazy.
We'll get Laura to help.
Yes, Laura.
Panic attacks, and then but they got worse, and it got hard to drive because the accident happened with the driving. And I still didn't understand exactly what they were, but journaling was helping. Heard about a good doctor in Orange County. So
was it health anxiety? Was it just
breathing?
What?
Both.
All of it. Okay.
Both. Yep. And it would hit out of the blue. First, when I was driving, out of the blue, it seemed to hit out of the blue, and it would be like, I'm going to get one of those things again. You know what? Hard to breathe, hyperventilating. Your face gets tingly.
I can't imagine not knowing what it is.
Yeah, I thought I was going crazy. Hands are tingling, feet are tingling.
I mean, I can because it's.
And you think you're going to pass out. You feel but you never do. Typically. I mean, it's very rare, but some people do. So I heard about a good doctor, went to the doctor one day, but it was traumatic even to drive there because driving by now was really hard. I'd have to get off on every single off ramp and wait and maybe get a soda and just try to not think about it. But I still had to get to work, from San Bernardino to Riverside and everything. Anyway, go to the doctor and I was in tears because, that's Orange County. And he's like, what's going on? I go, I think I'm going crazy. And I started crying. He's like, okay. And he goes, tell you what, we're going to do some extensive blood tests. Let's figure out if there's something going on and come back next week. Okay, great. Then I came back next week and it was traumatic again by the time I got there.
For people who don't know, that's like a hour and a half drive?
Yeah, probably. About that, Yep. And he goes, how's it going? The same thing. I think I'm losing my mind. I go, I'm so sorry, but I really am losing my mind. I'm going crazy. I go, these things happen to me out of the blue. I think I'm going to faint. And then I started getting the health anxiety then because like you said, the palpitations, you just think what is going on with my heart?
It's so scary.
Yeah. So he looked at me and he was so sweet and compassionate. He goes, well, you may not know this. He goes, but I'm an internist doctor. He goes, but I'm also a psychologist.
But that's another divine thing,
right?
That how many times do people go to doctors and you get someone who just is not what you need?
Exactly.
That feels like that was meant to happen.
I believe that.
Was it the same doctor the first time and second time?
Yep. And he said, not only am I a psychologist, my specialty for the last 30 years has been chemically addicted families. And he said, Chris, don't tell me. He goes, you're an adult child of alcoholics, right? My mouth dropped open and I
like mine right now. Oh my God, my eyes are teary eyed.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
But I was also a little embarrassed. I thought,
you're like, wow, is it that obvious?
Yes. I think I was my pride or whatever. I'm like, did I write it on my head? Or how do you know? But yet I was comforted.
Wow.
I was like, how did you know? He goes, I know. And he gave me a hug and he goes, you're going to be okay. He goes, what you have, he goes, your blood work is perfect. He goes, you have extreme anxiety. He goes, and he goes, let me guess, you have felt like you've been responsible for everyone around you and everything around you all of your life, right? And I cried. I'm like, yes, doctor.
That would have been my...
Yeah, I felt like that. And he goes, yeah. He goes, listen. He goes, I'm going to give you some books. And that started my journey with the self-help books.
Yeah.
And you can go to some seminars because back then they had them.
Yeah.
They still do. The support groups didn't help me only because I think I got in a bad one.
Yeah.
It was really a negative vibe one where they were like, oh, my parents suck.
A lot of, at least what we see online about support groups are very low energy, even though they're not all like that, but I could only imagine because I feel like you do have a very different outlook than what most people would be if they went through what you went through. So I don't know. I just think it's so rare to be able to be like, I don't want my past to define me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or to be able to, I don't know. It makes sense why you didn't like him.
Yeah. That does make sense, yeah. And I don't know if mine was, it did seem, because I think support groups are pretty cool overall. This particular one just probably wasn't a fit, I guess. But their mentality was very much that, like, I'm broken, my parents screwed me up permanently forever, and I'll never, ever be able to function.
But you know how they always say, like, if you're, like, it would be easier for you to get to their level than for you to bring up a handful of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like without knowing, you were like, I need to protect my peace in your bubble.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, my Pete, you're right.
Yeah.
That is, I think, what it was. So, yeah, he gave me books, started devouring the books and going to seminars now and then and journaling. But still, and I would kind of like better. One thing that, like, was so wonderful, and maybe for your listeners too, is when you do start understanding there's reasons we all have the fears we have and the anxieties we have. And it's so nice to finally find someone safe and that we can talk to or write out, and to get in touch with why, and to realize you're okay. You're actually normal for what you've been through. You're normal and you're going to be okay once you realize this is just your nervous system and your brain responding the way it was divinely created to do. It was created to be. The problem is it got stuck on the fight, flight, or fight.
Yeah.
The adrenaline and cortisol got stuck on high alert. And all we have to do is retrain because brains are so miraculous, right? It can be retrained, can be healed, it can be rewired, and we can have new pathways and new thoughts and what they call it, neuroplasticity.
Plasticity,
By telling ourselves new thoughts that's based on truth, not on the what ifs, not on the terrible fears, what if, like, well, what if it all works out? Like, what if things are good? But anyway.
It's such a hard spiral though.
Because it feels, right, so strong.
Well, and I think for me, what was really hard was, I don't know if you relate to this, maybe this is a mirror situation too, but like feeling like I can't even trust myself. Like I always thought I could trust at least me.
Yeah.
And now I can't even trust that.
Yes.
That was really hard for me.
Yes. I agree. I agree. I remember one of those nights pulling off the freeway feeling so defeated.
And dumb.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't.
Like a loser.
But you're just like, wow, I really can't drive.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't had issues driving specifically, but like, yeah. Like, you're embarrassed, you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, you're like, this again. Like, I feel so lame. Why can't I just be normal, even though what is normal? But yeah.
Good point. And by this time, I think it had been 1 or 2 years. I remember it was a Taco Bell late at night. I'd come from a rehearsal, and I thought I just might as well quit the band because it's too traumatic to drive to rehearsal. And sometimes if you pull off and get a little soft drink to just break the... but I remember sitting at this time for the first time, literally felt paralyzed where my arms didn't want to work from the anxiety.
Like out of body.
Yeah. And I thought, is this what it feels like to be paralyzed by anxiety or fear when people say that? And then I had the next thought, what you just said. I thought, all those people that stood up in high school with all those awards, if they could see me now,
really,
what would they think? They'd think, she's not most likely to succeed now. I just felt very broken and defeated and sad. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just relating with what you said.
It's crazy because like we take for granted now how accessible stuff is on like TikTok or social media. Like you'll find life hacks like, oh, if you're driving and have anxiety, just like have a sour candy because it helps bring you out. Like, and that's something so simple that like is at least well known in my circles, I guess. I feel like maybe if you didn't know that life hack, but like if you had that, you know what I mean? Like we have so much more at our fingertips to understand and help and learn about it.
Yeah.
Like
that must
if you
be
didn't
why
meet
I would
that doctor.
That must be why I got the soda.
Yeah, the soda, like it maybe that like
just
subconsciously, focus on, or the cold or something.
So for the next couple of years, it kind of got better, but then not, and I just wasn't all the way.
Did you end up quitting the band?
Yeah, it wasn't that great anyway. But I do remember having panic attacks though in the middle of a concert.
And for it to touch the one thing that like saved you,
yeah,
that would be hard.
Yeah, and I think I am going to pass out or faint or die or something because it felt like that, but I never did. But it was that was a bummer. I'll have to tell you later about all the neat music experiences too. So panic attacks. So then I remember just so desperate one night. I was in the Weir Canyon, the 91, kind of by where Remy grew up, the Anaheim Hills.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to drive to Laguna Niguel or something for work because then I worked for IRS, and it was just a full blown panic attack, and I was so thinking I'm never going to get over that. I remember pulling off the off ramp and just crying out, like praying to God, like Jesus, you got to do something. Like I was just done, and I was hitting, when you get mad, I'm hitting the seat and everything. And shortly after, I was on a lunch break. I was listening to a radio a few days later, and it was so exhausting, that much anxiety that you had to sleep on your take naps all throughout the day, but just to keep the job because I needed the job. Yeah. And a talk show came on. I heard somebody describing to a T my panic attacks because the doctor was helpful, but he didn't rewind real quick. The doctor did say, he goes, I know he went to the same church. He goes, I've seen you at church. He goes, I'm going to give you a Bible verse too. And it was Proverbs 3:25, 26, 24, 25. And it says, fear not sudden fear, neither the destruction of the wicked when it comes, for the Lord will keep you safe. Well, I thought that was cool and nice and all. But
you're like, thanks, but that's not going to help.
Right. I didn't know how to internalize it yet at all. So anyway, and then he gave me a prescription for pills, but because of what I saw my mom go through,
that's traumatic,
I was afraid to take the pills. So I thought, let me just try it my own first, but I have nothing against the pills, but I decided because of everything mom went through, I was like, no, I'll try this. So a couple years later,
you take the verse. You're like, I'll take that.
Yeah, I took the verse. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cried out, heard the radio show. I'm like, and turned it up. And it was Dr. Claire Weeks, who to this day is pretty famous. She died recently, little Australian doctor. And she was describing what a panic attack feels like and what causes it and how to understand the physical things that are going on in your body. And I was like, yeah, you can get her book. And I thought, where's her book? So that day after work, there was a library in Riverside. I went there. There was one book called Freedom from Agoraphobia, what my mom had.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't have full-blown agoraphobia, a lot of it's same principles, I stayed up all night that night reading that book. I feel like it was the answer to the prayer because it explained every symptom, but every cause and physically what's going on in your body. And for the first time, I was so like, whoa, I'm actually normal. I'm actually healthy. 1 out of 4 people in America have panic and anxiety attacks, usually women, usually creative people too. And it's just so normal and common. So I felt normal and that there was hope. Because hope. Because they talked about how do you get, so they said it's like a glass of emotion. Like if your emotions are like a glass and all your life you're suppressing them because remember, you had to have a dysfunction family. You got to do what you got to do, but you got to be strong. You suppress it all. It builds up. But then one triggering big event, like the car accident in my case, will hit your life. It could be anything. It's like, and your little glass goes, we can't hold anymore. So that overflows. Now the adrenaline, cortisol go even higher 24/7. No break in the flight or fight. And the nervous system becomes sensitized. That's why, remember at work, I was all jumpy and everything changed and I felt different in my body, but I didn't know that's what it was. Yeah. Sensitized. Well, if a nervous system can become sensitized, it can become desensitized by retraining our thoughts. So the book and Dr. Claire Weeks' principles, which to this day, other people are grabbing her principle and they're making videos all the time. If you look her up, like all kinds of younger people they're going, I got over panic attacks. And even some psychologists that go, and we use Claire Weeks' method, and then they'll break it down again. But her premise was, guess what? Fear not sudden fear.
Full circle.
Full circle. Yep. And she said, because the fear of the fear is what gives them their strength and their power.
That's one thing that helped a lot when I was going through my own anxiety at its worst, is you saying like all anxiety is fear of fear. Like you have the fear of something happen, like the fear of versus, and it was hard for me because I was like, whenever stuff does happen, whenever I actually do have a health problem, I don't freak out. Yeah. I actually take my time going to the doctor. I'm like, I'll get there.
Yeah, you do.
But then with health anxiety, it's like the fear of, what if this happens? Yeah. It's like the fear of, well, what if this happens? Or like something like that. I can notice a distinct difference, but it's hard when you're in that spiral. Yes. To think clearly. Cause you're like, is this real? Or am I just
You're very right. I agree 100%. Like it feels so real because it's physical.
Yeah. Like I'm like physically my heart is pounding. Like, and I got rid of my Apple Watch for that reason. Because one time I drove myself to the urgent care because I thought I had a heart attack.
I did that too.
Yeah, I know.
Did I ever tell you?
Yeah. Because when I told you mine, you're like, I did that too. I did. But no, it makes me feel more normal. So I can't imagine you going through all of this without having examples. Oh. Like that would be very hard, especially in a world where, you saw your grandma go to, be admitted into a mental hospital and when she had pills, she like it was just, I don't know, like
made it worse.
And I'm sure even hearing around town, like, oh, you know, Marie had to be, you know, just gossip at that time era, like how mental health has changed so much and it's so normalized now. Like
I'm so glad.
Our brain is just an organ, like any other organ.
Yeah.
And like you go to a heart specialist, you can go to a brain specialist. Like it's crazy. I don't know. It really breaks my heart for like how many people had to go through
me too.
mental health issues.
Me too.
Back, you know, when?
I agree. I remember telling her so many nights, Mom, why don't you, because she would talk every night, you know, about all of her trauma. So she still kind of was using me, I guess, as a therapist.
Getting it out,
you know? She's getting it out. That's good. And I said, Mom, why don't you go to a counselor? Even then I knew it would help. She goes, oh no, that won't help. She goes, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
She couldn't put together that therapy
that wasn't
would
a
help.
thing then.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And there was sort of somewhat of a stigma, I think, too.
Oh, for sure. Huge.
So that's terrible.
No, this is why I wanted you on, because you helped me so much through all my anxiety. And then like, I can't imagine going through it all without knowing or like having examples of like what to do. So I admire so much about you, how if you ever have a question, you just figure it out. Same with the drums. You're like, I don't have a drum set. I'm going to make one. You're like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm going to research it. Like, oh, you know, even Dad with his health stuff later, like you're like, okay, we're going to figure it out. Like there's no, like you don't wait for, I guess you never let your past really be, you never really let that hold you back from learning new things. You weren't like, oh, well, I had no one to teach me about money and money management, so I guess I'll figure it out myself, you know? And that's something you've been a huge help with me with, just even budgeting and just managing money and all of this stuff. And I feel like that's something that I'm just so grateful for. Even you and Dad, even not being able to put me through a traditional 4-year college or college in general, versus you just being like, okay, well, like go get a loan. And like you have, I don't know, like I feel very, very, very grateful for that. I feel very grateful for you guys being so frugal and so just humble too. I feel like that's been a huge thing that I'm extremely grateful for. Like you guys, if it wasn't any different, your house, you'd have the same couches from when we finally got rid of those blue couches. It was like, it's time. Like they've served their purpose.
All the forks.
No, yes. Oh my God. Ashley would always play Little Mermaid. And I guess she like, one day they noticed all the forks just like missing. And then they moved the couch and they heard ching, 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 ching. And they realized that she had all the forks and she'd brush her hair with Ariel, but then it would drop and fall on the couch. So then when they moved, they found all the forks because that's what happened. But yeah, like you guys wouldn't buy stuff just because you wanted to, almost to a fault where we had the couches and they were meant to go for a long time. But yeah, you guys were like, oh, well, we have a coffee table. We don't need a new one. Why? We have one that works. And I feel like that's something that has really just always stuck with me. Yeah, there's a lot that you guys have taught me.
Wow. Thanks, honey. That means a lot.
And I know there's still so much more to talk about.
There's so many things I look back when you get older, like, oh, I wish I'd have done that better with the girls and this better and that better. And I honestly dropped the ball in many ways, but somehow by God's grace did some things right too.
You did a lot of things right.
We did a lot of things right. And we're so proud of you.
Oh my God, thank you. I remember like wanting certain toys and like spy toys, and you'd be like, well, why don't you make it? And I'd be like, oh, it's different, Mom. But then I'd like get cardboard and like make everything. So I feel like that's something that really has been ingrained in me. And I remember specifically being bored, and you were like, being bored's good. And that like, I hated you in that moment. I was like, no, but I'm bored and I want to do something. But I always say I wouldn't have started YouTube if I wasn't bored, you know? So it's so, I don't know. There's lots of things. There's so much more I want to talk about, because there is a whole story of you meeting your birth mom and like crazy journey that was. And even, I mean, you and Dad, like he was living in a trailer park, right? A trailer at the time.
A trailer in a field.
Like that's crazy. Like it's just like you have so much to your story. So we need to write this book one day.
And music, like how music panned out too. I've been so fortunate.
Oh yeah, no, like, and both you and Dad don't have degrees, so it's just, and obviously that's not like the route to necessarily go for everyone. But I feel like I'm just very blessed and grateful for having both of you as my parents and you as my mom.
Thanks, honey. I
so
feel
welcome.
blessed and grateful having you as a daughter, and so proud of you.
I feel like you're just saying that
no,
for the people.
it's true. It's true. Thank you.
Yeah, you are so welcome.
You are so welcome.
You did so good. Everyone's gonna love you, and they're gonna love everything you had to share. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. That's something else I'm very grateful for. I feel like I'm very open with my own like mental health struggles or whatever, because you've been your whole life. Like to me, I'm like, oh, you're just. Why wouldn't you be? Like there is no shame around it. Like,
No.
and I think that's been another huge blessing, because you were so vulnerable, opening and like sharing all this, and a lot of people wouldn't feel comfortable. But I feel like that's it's so admirable, because then you get to help people. So
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like you've helped so many people.
But because of you.
Oh, thank you.
and, yeah. And maybe we'll post a video of you playing drums at the end of this, because you are a badass.
And I want to come back so they know that things turned out good for mom and dad in the end.
No, yeah. No, literally, she defied like Grandma Marie.
Alisha
She
Marie,
literally told doctors, you're not doing your job right.
She had so many miracles.
So many.
Like documented miracles.
She gets diagnosed with cancer. They come in and screen her thing, and then she's literally like, she can't really talk much, and she's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
She's
I
on
want
a
a
ventilator.
I want a different doctor. And they're like, girl, calm down. Like, we know what our job is. And she's like, no, you're not doing it right. And then the next thing they know, they get a different doctor, and she was right. That the first people didn't know how to do it.
But he said we gave her enough tranquilizer to knock out a horse, and she would not
wouldn't knock out. And
But then when she knew it was right, then she went and she knocked out.
No, like literally iconic.
So
Like
then
iconic.
they wanted her permission. They go, we want to go down with the scope to see the tumor. It was in her lungs. We saw the first X-ray, and she wrote because she couldn't talk. She goes, you can go down, but I already know that God healed me. Like that was news to us. Like the doctor's like, yeah, whatever, fine, lady. Okay, we're gonna go, and they did, and it was gone. So he called my dad and I into the hospital, and we thought he was going to say, he was the lung specialist, Dr. Helwig, and we thought he was going to say, you better go say goodbye. And he goes, he told my dad, he goes, your wife just had a documented miracle. He goes, look, and I still remember he had the before and after X-ray.
Crazy.
And the tumor was just gone. So she lived, it just wasn't her time. She had many of those. But when it was her time, we knew.
She said out.
Yeah, she said, I'm done.
She said,
she did.
I'm done.
She said, Chris, and she couldn't talk very well because her lungs were failing because all the cigarettes, you know. And she goes, she couldn't talk. And I go, what, Mom, what? And she's like, I go, oh, is it the do not resuscitate? Finally, she goes, I already signed it, you know. And then that was the very end.
Yeah.
Sorry. And she went like that. And then her last words to me, I might cry. Her last words talk about a mother's love. She said, I don't want you to suffer. She knew that it was her time and that she was dying, and she didn't want me. She wanted me to do whatever I needed. Like if I didn't need to be there or if I need to be there. And I'm like, Mom, don't worry about me. She always worried about me. I go, I'll be okay.
But your younger self needed to hear that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm going to cry again.
Yeah. And before that, like a couple weeks earlier, she was really about that do not resuscitate form, you know, and I go, Mom, are you sure? And she goes, yep. She goes, when it's time, she goes, just open the cage and let the little bird fly away. So she was not afraid. She was very, you know, she knew where she was going.
Yeah. This is why you need a book.
I'm working on it.
I know, we're working on it. But thank you again so much for coming on. Do you want to say anything to the viewers before you go until you come back? Momma Marie out.
I just think the community that Rem and Alisha have built is beautiful. And when I read the comments, I feel like a connection with you guys too. And so, yeah, love you guys.
You. I'm gonna cry again. I love you guys too. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you made it to the end, just comment, we love you, Momma Marie. Maybe paradiddle or a little heart or drums or something. And yeah, you'll definitely come back another time. Don't worry. And we're gonna get into everything. And I know tonight you're not gonna be able to sleep and you're spending the night because tomorrow Ashley's trying on wedding dresses and we're so excited. But I already know you're gonna be laying in bed with me and you're gonna be like, I could have done better. Oh my God. Did I do okay? Or be honest, did I do okay? Oh my God. And you're going to freak out, but you're not going to overthink it.
I won't overthink it.
We will get you back on for part 2.
Okay. I'll be here.
I know. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're
This
so
was really
welcome.
fun.
We love you guys so much. Alisha Marie and Momma Marie out. Bye. See you next week. We love you.
Bye.